And it looks like we are back live. Hello, everyone. We're back ready to do the thing after Otakon, and I have a guest.
Hi, how you doing?
Imagine that.
Nice to meet you.
Exactly. This is the Phantom Otaku, who is joining me today to talk, because we've been at Otakon, have we not?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
For 2 days now.
So this is your first Otakon, I believe.
Yes, it is.
What's been your impression so far?
Given that I've just done very small regional kind of things, it's enormous in scale.
Yep.
Just from the selectability of panels to go to workshops to attend, to dealers and art, and just people. Just a lot of really good cosplays and a lot of really good people to just have random conversations with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most fun of this. This is the most random conversations I've had in crowd ever. So it's a good thing.
What's been the biggest surprise so far?
Probably just how big anime is getting and has gotten.
Yeah.
I've told you before some of the first sort of Robotech kind of things. I think the first one I went to was 86, 87.
Okay. Speak up a little bit. They're having trouble hearing you.
86, 87.
Okay.
Going to a Robotech con in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And it was, even, Carl Mysiek was there.
Oh, wow.
So, representing Harmony Gold.
Yep.
Which I'm sure at the time everybody loved. Loved him.
Things have changed.
And it was small. It was a ballroom and then maybe part of another ballroom for dealer stuff. And it was small. It was more intimate and surprising that somebody would, like Carl Mysiek, would be there.
Yeah.
But this really blows my mind. I mean, I've watched the Roanoke con grow bit by bit, and it's grown by like 50 to 100 people each time.
Okay, yeah.
To go from, oh gosh, we've had almost 1,000 people over 3 days, to like 30,000 people in a day. Is yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you showing me this. This is amazing, if nothing else.
Cool. Yeah.
So.
And I'm proud to announce that we have both shown reasonable restraint in the dealer's room.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of stuff I'm still thinking of right now.
Yep.
But I supported the industry.
Good.
I bought a new Maru-chan squishy thing, and
Nice.
my $5. I am the supporter of anime.
Yep.
So
clearly.
now I'm in there. I have the
Good.
badge.
Yep. Yeah. You. Anime is continuing because of your
Everybody
money.
in Japan has profited directly from my $5.
Right. Yes. Very good.
So
very good.
I can now wear that at every con I go to in the future and ask them what they're doing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So let me see here. The K-On! Plate was, I think, one of the highlights. That was adorable.
If it's still there, I might be a new supporter tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
The Ghost in the Shell stuff. That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of the artist alley, a lot of the artwork is. I can't even describe how really on target a lot of very, very talented people are.
Yeah.
Some stuff that they've done in the sort of chibi style is cute, but some of the stuff that people have done in like the very realistic style is fantastic.
And I'm noticing this year particularly, there's more stuff I'm seeing that looks like it is matching the original animation style.
Yes.
Like a lot of fan art, like it's excellent, but it's clearly in that person's style.
Yes.
And this is like, that could just be a poster from the show.
Oh, how about the 2-panel Princess Mononoke in the forest?
Yeah.
Fantastic. A lot of glisse print kind of stuff, but also a lot of really good oil on canvas work. Wow. So, mad props. If I had money for that, I'd have new decor for the house. That'd be awesome.
Mad props with the cosplay and the props. I mean, my goodness.
Yes, your friend and his sword work. Just like everybody and their uncle from the mass of Luigi's and Mario's.
Yep.
That some were purchased, some were put together. Some, like any cosplay kind of thing, you've got people that can just step into a Spider-Man suit and zip the back up and they're good.
Sure.
And then you've got people that have built just these amazing creations of armored suits.
Yeah.
And just putting together, maybe there is a way to buy Faye as a costume, but obviously a lot of people really are good at PVC craft and just making their creation of this stuff is nothing I can do. I can put pieces of clothing together occasionally. I dress myself.
Yeah.
I do pretty well that way. That's my cosplay. So I just, and again, small regional kind of stuff, you don't see that kind of complexity. You don't see an entire floor of people who are just laid out and circles of people taking photos of them. Because ultimately, in the end, if the rational part of the mind, we're a group of strangers asking a stranger if we can take pictures of them. And it's like, that's odd, but not odd here. And that's kind of cool. Like, I'm not sure if I asked somebody on a random street corner, can I take a picture of you? They'd probably punch me. So this really is like quite eye-opening to see the level and skills involved. So, yeah, thank you.
No, it's cool. And it is just kind of mind-blowing to see just the level of thought put into a lot of these things. I just really kind of can't imagine doing a lot of these things.
And obscure. I mean, there were some obscure characters. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but how many times have I asked you, like, what's that? Or is that character blah, blah, blah? And it's just like, wow. The depth. It's not just it's not 300,000 Narutos running at Area 51.
Right.
It's all manner of different characters, minor characters, obscure characters, and they're done excellently.
Yeah. I remember the year of the Naruto invasion, because that was a year when it's like, okay, half of the people here are Naruto. All right.
Orange jumpsuits are great. You repurpose them from the county jail.
Totally.
Hold on a second here. The yard sale at the county clink.
But yeah, it is really amazing seeing that level of artistry. Also, one of the other nice things about Otakon, especially this year, is and yes, Otakon is in DC, Washington DC this year.
And it's a huge new facility.
Yeah, it's a couple of years old.
Yeah, but for all intents and purposes, every other place I've been to is like 15, 20 years old. This place is still like squeaky clean.
Yeah, totally.
Carpeting's nice. The interior is all fresh and shiny. And facilities just in general are, just even the loungewear for like kids who are like tuckered out and sleeping. It's all new. It's not marked up and shabby and scratched and broken up. It's just, kudos.
Yeah,
good
totally.
to them.
Interesting so the nice thing about that convention space is that it is big enough to handle 30,000 people. So while there are choke points, you don't feel like you're constantly, in a line, doing this every 30 seconds, which is really nice. Hey, the other thing is it's interesting seeing the age ranges there.
Yeah.
Because there have certainly been times when it's been mostly folks under the age of 20. And sometimes when it's been mostly folks over the age of like 30. And it feels like there's a fairly wide range there.
Yeah, there was a guy I thought for a split second while you were having a conversation outside of one of the panels. I thought, and this is not to be, I'm not saying anything, but he reminded me of the guy from Up. The older gentleman from Up. And when he came walking up and he had a backpack on and he had a water bottle strapped to the front and he was prepped for a con. And he walked up and I thought, oh, it's not Up. It is literally a man who's like 65, 70 years old and he's conning.
Yep.
He's just there doing it. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Gives me hope for me.
Yes. Hey, Jaharis, I think I'm pronouncing that nice. Yeah, it was nice meeting you as well. He was one of the guys with Justin. In the chat room. Yeah, very cool. So yeah, it's a neat experience. Also nice having a number of food options.
Yes. Yes. The food court, honestly, that was there had a decent selection.
Yeah.
So as we were talking about earlier, it wasn't just like terrible food for you. It was actually some very interesting kind of nice things to eat. And then right where that location is, if you Yelp, there's 1,000 different things to do.
Yeah.
The ramen place we ate at was reasonably close by. The Ethiopian place we ate at was
good.
Was closer than the ramen place.
Yeah, like
I mean,
2
it
blocks
was
up.
out the door, over and up. We're there. So it was just like, wow, but that's DC.
Yeah.
And where you get big city and you have a brand new convention facility, presumably that draws more things closer to it. I hope.
And you have the food trucks, which were nice as well.
Ice cream trucks, which I still now, this many years later, I've never gotten ice cream from an ice cream truck.
You'll have to change that tomorrow.
I'll have to make an effort.
Yep.
Get a $10 ice cream. It is convention time.
I have heard that the DC has good Ethiopian food. That's been a remarkable thing. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news, because that is probably a thing we should do. So let's do that.
Can you sing anything from Newsies?
Probably can. Welcome back to the news for the week ending July 27th, 2019. Let us get to it. And unfortunately, we're going to have to start kind of sad today. Updates following the KyoAni fire. Let's see here. We'll get to the stuff here. And feel free to scooch around. It's hard to, whatever.
I get this lovely piece right here. I can hold it in frame.
Perfectly. There's been a huge outpouring of support for KyoAni from fans around the world following fire from last Thursday, so a week ago last Thursday. The Association of Japanese Animators will be opening an account to collect donations. And Right Stuff and Animate will also be collecting donations, with Animate taking donations at their physical store and Right Stuff online, which kind of makes sense. The creator of Flying Witch will be donating a portion of both physical and digital sales. Yep. Of the next manga volume. KyoAni themselves opened a direct bank account for donations.
Wow.
So you can kind of go directly there. And they have since raised 620 million yen.
Well, I know as of last week, the last time I paid attention to the Sentai Works, their donation site, they were trying to raise 750,000 and they had 1.42 million.
Wow.
US dollars.
Yeah.
Not 750,000 yen. $1.42 million.
Yeah.
So they blew out of the
water.
water.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, Sentai is running a GoFundMe, collect over $2 million.
Yeah.
64,000. Yeah.
Nuts. That's sort of like the Notre Dame. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden there was millions of dollars that showed up. So,
yeah. Good. Please do that. And there's also a non-monetary encouragement going out. 11 Arts is collecting folded origami cranes, of course, a classic Japanese
1,000 crane
thing. That's at their studio in LA. The website also shares a sunflower print paper template you can print and fold to symbolize strength, happiness, and positivity. Crunchyroll is asking fans to submit their own personal messages of support and hope through their website. And the site contains an open form to submit anything basically you want. And the president of Kyoto Animation expressed that the messages from around the world are becoming our emotional support, as he put it. And also told the press in an interview that he's considering demolishing the building and setting up a public park there with a monument. Because he said basically the people there probably don't want to stare at that very long.
And people probably don't want to work in the shell of that building very
right
much either, so.
Yeah, and rebuilding it is going to be sort of questionable as opposed to just getting a new building. So that just might be the plan. Well, again, possibility, but uncertain.
Well, it's a shame to see it leave its location because of how it's set in its community, but I think anybody would easily feel that 33 people passing away in that fire would not be a good place to be.
No, exactly. Very sad. So President Hata has confirmed that the computers and past animation materials in the building were destroyed in the fire. There's been no official interrogation of the arsonist yet due to his own injuries. But he reportedly told the police that KyoAni stole his novel, which the president of the studio said he's never even heard of the suspect's name, and no novel under his name has ever been submitted to the studio. So, yeah. Sad story all around.
Yeah.
I think we can just say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're still waiting on releasing the names of the people because they're still like sifting through records and identifying remains.
Yeah.
Because that's going to take a little while, and you don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
So that's going to take a little bit.
I still just I don't understand the externalization of the anger in this fashion. But it's the world in which we live.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately,
it is very unfortunate. So let's move on to something a little nicer. We have some announcements of some new anime projects, starting with Katakawa Jet Girls. So Katakawa Egg Firm and Marvelous. They've announced on Friday they're developing a new multimedia project called Kandagawa Jet Girls. Excuse me. Completely original. It'll be included in a game and an anime. And this is part of the general trend that you don't just announce an anime.
Right.
Don't just announce a manga. It's like, let's do it all together. Let's just plan for all of it all at once. Right.
Yeah.
Like Dot Hack back in the day. More information will be announced in a live stream on August 1st, which will go on YouTube, Nico Nico, and Periscope. I haven't heard Periscope much recently.
And Nico. Oh, the only thing I can think of is Nico Nico. That's all I can think of. It's August 1st, and that is coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we will get more news on that shortly, which I'm hoping for.
Yeah, we got till the 31st. So we've only got a few days left in this month until we get that announcement.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know how much you love the following trope of Oda Nobunaga being reincarnated as various things.
Yes.
Good news. Good news. The new a manga about samurai being reincarnated as dogs, called Oda Cinnamon Nobunaga, has been greenlit for an anime.
Can't wait.
It'll be a TV anime. His most recent volume, Oda Cinnamon Nobunaga. It's a comedy retelling of the War of the States periods, but where all those generals have been reincarnated in the modern era as dogs.
Which it's just the only thought that kind of runs through my mind is like, is this going to be a terribly cute thing where they all run around a dog park and there's like a lead dog who runs with all the dogs in the dog park, and I'm sure that's not what it is.
I bet it is. I'm gonna say it is because I like that idea more.
I don't know whether I feel unfortunate to myself, but I'm probably going to watch at least an episode just because I've seen pretty much all these other ones where they come back as, all Warring States generals come back as something.
Yep.
The terrible part is if you said they came back as fish, I'd watch the first episode of that too, just because I want to know what lunacy you possibly could have come up with in this idea. So
yes, and I agree that you can come back in the Edo period. You can get the dog shogun, Tokugawa Tsuneyoshi. He was known as the dog shogun, so he would fit. Come on.
Well, I just want to see Masamune Date, the dachshund.
Yes, right.
Making a sword somehow with no thumbs. But I'm pretty good. Just somehow hammer it together.
Totally, it works.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you've heard of Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, I'm unfamiliar with that.
Okay, no, it's this new thing.
I've never seen a hairstyle like that.
It's been around for 20 years now. I feel old. And so Konami has announced a 20th anniversary project in 2020. It will be a new anime to commemorate the 20th anniversary. No footage has been shown yet, but the teaser for the series hinted, quote, "The history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series will change."
They get a new deck of cards?
Sure. Dice, maybe? I don't know.
They're merging with Magic the Gathering.
Ooh.
So it's Magic Yu-Gi-Oh! The Gathering.
Okay. I like that. Sure. No.
And since that idea came up here, any licensing and royalty fees, they inherit to us. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. We own Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. It's weird. That's how it works.
We stake to claim. It's like mining. We're just staking a claim.
Totally. For clarity, Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, is still ongoing, so it's not going to replace that, apparently. But we don't... In other words, they haven't announced that's ending. Maybe this will replace it, maybe it won't, but we don't know.
Is it a new series, or is it a one-shot
celebration? They said it's going to be a new anime, and they're calling it a series. So, I don't know. And again... Could be one, could be the other, but they haven't said one way or the other.
They're earning enough, I'm sure, to run two series simultaneously.
Yu-Gi-Oh's doing fairly well. Seems to me.
International market, Japan market, or where?
Yes. As far as I can tell, Yu-Gi-Oh's, that train's not slowing down. So, man.
Which I don't have a lot of contact with youthful players of Yu-Gi-Oh to know where its popularity lies in the American youth.
I certainly see it like at gaming conventions. There are folks doing Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments still.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're still making anime, constantly. So,
Yeah, I mean, it must be somebody's paying the bills. It's good.
Totally. No complaints there. All right, moving on to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which are coming up soon. Yay! This is 1 year before the Summer Olympics begin, and they are kicking that off with a live unveiling of the official countdown clock and messages from the athletes around the world. The official design was revealed this week, plus a video of the creation process. That's actually interesting. I'd like to watch
The
that.
design creation?
The creation of the medals.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known that there was anything like super special about the creation of the method. They were stamped out.
Because they're being made from recycled electronics. Yeah. They'll be 100% sustainable.
Wow.
Made from metals harvested from old mobile phones and cell phones and so forth.
I swear I almost saw something that might have been related to that. Showed somebody with a crucible melting circuit boards down, and they were not just like your standard circuit boards. They were like large circuitry, gold colored.
Interesting.
And they were saying they were harvesting the metal out of it. And I wonder if that was related to it.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also, of course, the official launch video, which is anime. And it features
I'm sure it'd be cool.
It features their mascot character, which is sort of like a Funko Pop sort of scale mascot character. So big head, tiny body, very Chibi-in style, cat ears. Yeah. It, I don't know if it's a he or she or an it, is
in this new day and age, it is an it.
It is true.
It applies to everyone and anyone.
And it is basically going out on the field and preparing for track and field and like throwing a lance and all those various things. It's going through all the various motions. Pretty cool, pretty awesome, nicely animated. It shows 2 animated mascots actually, which were chosen by school students throughout Japan in March.
Oh, cool.
Participating in various Summer Olympic sports. So very cute, very fun, and clearly celebrating the upcoming Olympics.
Good.
Yeah.
Which I imagine it must have been very interesting to get enough venue space in Tokyo.
Yes.
The completely dense giant city to put any number of events.
Well, they were mentioning at the con, I went to a panel for Comiket, and they said Comiket's getting partially moved out of their space because of the Olympics. They're in August every year. Can't do that anymore. Can't do that this year.
What are they going to put? I mean, Comic-Ket's it is a thing that's already a thing.
Right.
I mean, it's like the building doesn't, you can't move part of it.
So
Are they housing people in
it? I do not know, but I do know that they're only going to be using a part of Tokyo Big Sight, and they're going to be using part of another building nearby, and they're going to be basically connecting the two with a pedestrian avenue.
Wow.
So the cosplayers can move between the others without having to de-dress and redress to their costumes. Because of just capacity, right?
Imagine hiking across that pedestrian area in cosplay in Tokyo in August.
1.5 kilometers.
Oh.
Yeah. But at least you don't have to.
There's a water station somewhere along that line.
Well, they've said that basically that area will be part of Comiket, essentially, that entire thoroughfare, so they can control it, so they can have, again, folks, doing traffic control and so forth. Yeah,
I mean, that's going to be kind of cool. It's inconvenient that it's having to be done that way, but it will be kind of cool to see how they engineer that.
Totally, and they're moving it to May, just to be clear, so that they're not in the same space, but still their availability is limited leading up to the Olympics.
So they can all go out for soccer watching after cosplay.
Exactly right, because not enough people, not enough things going on.
Yeah, in Tokyo at any given point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good luck with that. But that's gonna be interesting. Moving on to some political news, which we don't often do on this program.
Yeah, I saw this snippet and I was waiting to hear about it. It sounds really interesting.
So Taro Yamada, who is the leader of the Party to Protect Freedom of Expression, has won a seat in the Japanese House of Councilors on Sunday, so last Sunday. Very popular on social media, where he posts political content campaigning for internet privacy, freedom of speech, that kind of stuff. He even has his own Vocaloid theme song.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Which he broadcast from his car during campaigning. You know how they have the cars going down with a little...
Oh, jeez.
Imagine that going down
Wow,
the
how
street.
1980s anime.
Yeah. And his campaign for this election focused on otaku-relevant topics, including opposition of piracy sites and support of legalizing derivative fan works like doujinshi and fan fiction.
Okay.
Which we've seen some of that starting to make.
Legalizing it? Do they enforce against doujinshi circles?
It depends, and I think it's one of the. I think so. From what I understand, doujinshi are technically illegal, but recognized in a gray area that is essentially unenforceable. It is recognized as a fan work and not a not
Plagiarism
piracy in the
piracy,
classic
okay.
sense, right? Essentially, if you are profiting off of it, then it is piracy. If you're not profiting off it, it is a fan work. So, for example, the reason Comiket can work is because, and this was again in the panel, in terms of raw dollars spent, 65% of the doujinshi circles at Comiket lose money.
Okay.
15% break even, and the other 25% make some profit. And that's purely in terms of print costs and costs of going to Comiket and so forth, minus the transaction of selling their doujinshi, right?
Okay.
When you factor in the time spent making the doujinshi, arguably nobody makes money off of Comiket. And that is the idea, is that,
Well, if I understand anything from anime, they only charge like 250 yen for
Right.
each one. So, I mean, I don't think anime would have done me wrong, right? So,
No.
I would imagine then does that put those who are at a marginal profit then in the piracy department? And that everybody else is like, you're okay because you're not doing it right?
And I think that's part of this whole legalization thing, is it's like, okay, if you make it big, then there should be laws in place to protect you, to say, you're not intentionally, right? You're not intentionally breaking the law. You're making this fan thing,
Right.
just that everybody wants it now. And so there should be protections in place to say, okay, you're in this particular place, as opposed to, you're now a pirate and, whack-a-mole.
Yeah, time to go to jail.
Right. So again, we'll see where that goes, but that's kind of where he's campaigning. Also campaigning for improvement of working conditions in the anime industry.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But solely, is it solely related to anime industry?
I'm sure he's campaigning for other things, but these are the things remarkable for otaku that he's kind of talking about.
Because I think I told you the story about the 20-something salary woman who it was a story I had read. It was a Facebook story that I had read through there, that it talked about her 80-hour work weeks and her lack of life and her making sort of these desperate pleas to her mom and about how she was miserable, until finally she couldn't handle it anymore. And her death, her mother is trying to use that as a wake-up call to, we need to change how industry works. We need to change how the office culture works. We need people to not be harassed and browbeaten to stay at the job for so many hours and becoming physically exhausted.
Yeah.
So if that is part of a greater campaign, that would be very interesting to see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A change of culture for Japan that's been
Definitely
pretty much ingrained for a long time, and he's got a big hill to climb.
Yeah. And in fairness, it's one of those things that is, as I understand it, changing culturally in Japan, where that is and has been a big thing, but a lot of companies are starting to shift away from that kind of mindset. But it is it's turning the cruise liner. Right, it's going to take a while.
There's an iceberg ahead. We really are going to be going slow to get to this.
Yeah. So good luck there. But cool to see that kind of stuff going.
Well, I mean, in a very organized and pro-social society, you would kind of think that the best interest of all is for something to change, that way everyone participates in the going forward, versus having people be so distressed it causes interruptions across everywhere because your friends and your family are impacted and your business place is impacted now that they've lost a valuable worker. So, you would think that would move a little bit, the ocean liner would turn a slight bit faster, knowing that collectively it's much better to move forward with the change. So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. Here's hoping. Moving on to yeah, this. What happened? Hold on. Something happened.
A thing.
Something happened. A thing happened. Which we're fixing now.
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go. So.
I just got much better looking.
Yeah. So Levi and Aaron are featured in a new ad campaign by Santen Pharmaceuticals for an eye care product which targets fatigue from screen use. And according to a survey of 512 adults, eyes that appear tired give off a negative image of being unhealthy or even lacking motivation.
Oh.
Can't have that. Can't lack motivation. So in the new ads, the Attack on Titan characters use Santen's eye drops to transform their tired and unhealthy eyes to bright and sparkling, as seen here. And
wow.
it gets better. At a Shibuya department store, they'll be hosting a special event on August 1st where participants enter a virtual reality scene within a colossal titan who squeezes eye drops from above. The players must catch the drops from underneath to receive points and a commemorative photo.
And this is day one of the new Japanese game show. That just begs for like Titan drop. Who can win the points? Like, oh, here we go. That's wow.
Uh-huh.
Tired eyes make you look like you lack motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And thus that you are in Attack on Titan. So
Wow.
you want to avoid that at all costs. It is one of the more impressive synergies I've come across.
It's just so interesting on like so many ways because it plays so culturally on the idea of like the impression that you're giving.
Right.
And that you want to be seen as a contributor, and that now if you have tired eyes, you're not contributing, and you're a less of a person because your eyes are tired.
Right.
And this product is the solution to it. You're like, wow, that's just really kind of brutal.
The Attack on Titan characters look tired all the time.
Yeah,
it's
they're
true.
fighting Titans. I mean, well, I wonder if they're going to have Titan drops now too.
Yeah, possible.
Like, oh, is your Titan tired? Do they need to look peppy to destroy a city? Here we go.
Yeah.
I don't like fighting Titans that have the bags under their eyes because I feel they're not giving their 100%.
Exactly.
And they're easy to defeat.
We've got to stop that.
Yeah.
We really do.
I just... Was there no better character to choose from? Not that I'm sure that somebody on their staff was like, I love Attack on Titan, let's use this. But there had to have been something that was like eye related. I mean, you've got so many like glasses wearing people in shows, and there are points in shows where people talk about glasses. So you would think you could, how would you get one of those? Versus Attack on Titan, I'm not really sure I see too many people in the bits and pieces I've watched that have glasses or look like they need eye care.
But to be fair, this isn't about glasses.
Well, but eyes, meaning I'm just trying to think of some good reason to focus on eyes, barring any blind characters of which I'm not currently aware.
Yeah, there's got to be some Dragon Ball Z character that has
some vision issue. But and I'm sure ones that are totally on point are probably not as popular as Attack on Titan.
Yep.
And I'm damn sure that, pardon my French, that Attack on Titan studio people were like, yes, money.
Yep.
Dump truck, money. Yes.
Sure.
You want a character? What character would you like? I'll give you any of them. Sufficiently large amounts of yen gets you any character you want.
Yep.
Like, okay, well, that's what shilling for companies works about.
And in fairness, this is not the wackiest commercial ever made in Japan.
No, there was a panel actually on it was an 18+ panel that was at Otakon that was exactly crazy Japanese commercials. What are they selling? So, yes.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of the commercial where somebody's eating banana pudding and it's just like they're just like singing a song, kind of half yelling about banana, and they're just eating pudding. And it's just like, wow, okay.
The like Lucky Star, the Timote ads from Japan, just Timote.
Yeah,
all right.
Just keep repeating it, and it sinks in. Which I used Timote.
Oh, really?
It was actually a very popular brand in England in the late '80s.
Oh, okay.
And my mother and I had purchased like a case of it when we would come back to the U.S. and like give it to various people.
Yeah.
So I never knew until I saw that Lucky Star thing. They're like, oh yes, how weird is this? Timotei. I'm like, holy. How was that popular in the 80s in England if it was a Japanese?
It wasn't. So it turns out it was an English product.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
I thought something strange had
No.
gone on.
And it was sold in Japan, and they just copied the advertisement. Because the advertisement in England was, for lush, beautiful hair,
Yes.
Timotei.
Well, sort of like any kind of normal. Well, I'm not saying normal. Any type of hair ad in the United States would be somewhat along that line.
Yep.
Wash, rinse, repeat, get shiny hair, full of volume and bounce.
Yep.
Versus Timotei.
Yeah, I've seen the British ads and the Japanese ads, and it's funny because it really is just like the British ads. They just say Timotei like one or two more times, just kind of to let it sink in, right?
Yeah.
And granted, Head and Shoulders,
Yeah.
good for what we want, Head and Shoulders, right?
Right.
We do it sometimes, but it just kind of became that sync. There's a great clip on the internet of Aya Hirano, who is her voice, at an anime convention in America. And somebody says, can you please do a line from any of your characters, anywhere?
Which again, like we talked about, must be the bane of all voice actors. Be like, I'd like to talk about my career and my life, and you just want me to like read off this little card of every line I've ever said.
Yes. And so she goes, Timotei. And everyone just bursts out laughing, like, yep, there we go.
And scene. Like, thank you.
And then they ask her to sing something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, again, if you've seen Lucky Star, you know this. And she just starts going, she goes, Chala, head chala, which is Kanata singing from the first ending credit sequence. She sings the original Dragon Ball theme badly, really badly. And that is her singing for her fans, and of course everyone bursts out laughing. It's like, oh, yep, that is you singing.
Yeah, I mean that is a beautiful way to just sort of get away from exactly what I said. Like,
yeah,
stop. I'm not going to give you all these stupid things. I'm going to give you this, and then you'll be happy and we'll all go away.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you.
Oh, that's cool. She did Gundam 8th. That's really cool.
Yes,
but,
I did also learn of starting to amass the catalog of the number of Gundams.
Yeah.
From things you've said, from the other panels, it's like there's Gundams even you haven't mentioned that much.
Yeah.
That I'm like, does anybody have a lifetime enough to watch all Gundam?
There are people out there, absolutely, who've seen it all. Wow. It helps if you started in 1983.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're there at the ground floor, then you've always had Gundam.
Yeah. And in fairness, there are maybe a dozen TV series. Yeah. So that's only 600 episodes. And then there could be some movies and OVAs.
Here you go. Why don't you start watching Bleach from
episode
1? Here, how about One Piece, episode 1?
Yeah.
Like,
but it also does have the advantage.
Several years later.
Yeah. It also does have the advantage that you can say, okay, I'm going to watch this show, and then I will have watched that show. There's
you
more of a
watch
sense
Gundam
of
Wing, you can watch War in the Pocket and be done with it.
And so there's more of a sense of accomplishment in attacking Gundam as opposed to One Piece.
Yeah,
which is up to episode 850 now, 900, something like that.
It's like 900. I think.
Yeah, it's like yeah. At least it's not Doraemon. If you tried to do Doraemon, I think you would just.
How about Saizai-san?
Yeah, that would definitely
do
it.
that as well.
Yeah, that's 6,000 episodes.
Yeah, it's like nuts worth of episodes. It actually is. I found some place that had it listed. And I've never looked because it's one of those where it brings the image up and then shows you like you can choose the episode you choose, and it just scrolls down to like never. And I was just looking at it like I can't. I'm glad to know it's there. Yeah. It's a resource.
Yeah. Come back 3 hours later, still loading. Still loading.
Well, it's just the process is like you can watch one and it's like it checks it off. And it's like. There's only so many down screens you can go to get check marks before you realize you're never going to get enough down screens to survive to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
I did like
And-
that about Gintama, that you can jump into Gintama almost anywhere, and it's amusing or at least kind of entertaining enough that you don't have to watch the 800 episodes of Gintama.
Gotcha.
Which,
Nice.
One Piece might be that way.
Right? Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
And Doraemon, you also get a new movie every year.
Yeah.
So there's that too. Why not?
Everybody likes robot cats, right?
Right, it's true.
He's an alien, right? He's an alien robot cat?
Well, no, technically he's just a robot cat from the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that feels like alien to me, but
Yeah,
the future's fine. At least it's future
made
here.
by humans, because it's made by Nobita. He makes them in the future. So, I guess.
It's a wonderful concept.
So that's all the news for the week. Thank you for for the news. And we will go back to that so we can see what the chat has been asking. So somebody asked, any laser discs at the con? I don't remember seeing any laser discs. They were probably there, but I don't recall seeing any.
I think like they were like stunningly good prices on a lot of Blu-ray stuff and
True.
a lot of HD DVD, which is interesting format choices these days. I did notice that there were certainly a lot of boxes of some of the older material, but all of them looked DVD-ish. I mean, I didn't see anything that immediately would call to mind like, oh, that's odd. It looks like it might be a Laserdisc.
Yeah.
But when you've got a dealer's room that's an acre and a half of the property,
Right.
it's easily possible that someone behind something has their most precious of precious, and you have to know them to ask them something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything that was evidently Laserdisc.
Yeah. I might check because I'm curious to see if there's any of those available. Again, like I saw no sales other than the Kinokuniya stuff. So Kinokuniya had a couple of like original drawings, not original, copies of the original like Genga from Ghost in the Shell.
And there were the ones that I liked that were the fully progressive and alternative.
Yeah.
They look like the line drawings for the prep, but they're, as you said, for the cost of what they were not original animations. Preps. They were copies.
Yeah.
Nice copies.
Official
very
copies.
Interesting copies. Yes.
Yep.
I still didn't find out whether they were framed. I probably should have asked that
Yeah,
question.
good question. Yeah.
Because if they came framed, that would have made them worth more what they were.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was basically just a 10 by 10 poster. So
Yeah. What surprised me, we mentioned this at Kinokuniya, they one of the books was a volume of artwork by the guy who does the covers for Comic LO.
Yeah.
Which is a magazine that features young characters in certain situations, for lack of a better word. And I flipped through it because I was like, this can't be. No, they can't
if you
actually.
Where that was, they had a strategic section where you had some. You had a Darling in the Franxx little bit that was up towards like one side.
Yeah.
Then you had that entire piece was all things like that, and then on the other side was like Attack on Titan stuff and like some other things. So it's like it's very strategically placed that you didn't necessarily run into it immediately.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of them.
And the cover is a like 8-year-old girl in a swimsuit. So it's like okay.
I got your message.
Yeah. And sure enough, there were some girls in there in various states.
Nothing that
it
would lead to problems with U.S. laws and
well,
regulations.
I mean, there were some girls there in states of undress. And I did not flip through in long enough to verify everything you could see. But I was like,
still would imagine to have that for sale to the public, it would have to comply with local laws and regulations.
Right.
So as an art book, perhaps there is some more like the Mapplethorpe paintings and art books and stuff in the various media
Must
in which
be.
he worked.
Yep.
I'm going to guess it occupies that special zone there because
True.
just
Well, and there was that photographer who took photos of her kids, and her kids
in
practiced
various states of
they
yes.
practiced family nudity, and that sometimes they were in, and you never saw them from the front in that particular region. And she was kind of caught up in the Mapplethorpe controversy, and that was part of that thing where that that was considered okay. Well, actually, that is art, because it wasn't,
but it
suggestive.
takes a fair amount of scrutiny for that to be determined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the old discussion about what is pornographic? It was a judge's response, and I know it when I see it.
Right.
And it's like any of these things that come under scrutiny, it's there is an opinion level,
right,
more than like how hard a factual law can you make to cover every situation. Somebody's gonna have to make a judgment,
which is good, right, in a lot of ways. Like, we and because we've had this in other cultures where it's, if this part of the anatomy is this close to this part of the anatomy, it is pornography. And if it's not, well, okay, then there are so many ways that you can get around that, artistically.
Certainly magical fog, magical bright lights,
right?
Well-placed pottery and plants, and
talking
things.
about this before, in Japan, you could not show the male or female naughty bits, and so Japan invented tentacles. Which are not right. It's not that part of the body.
Couldn't go with a house plant kind of in the way. Cat walking by, you come up with a tentacle.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You would have that's an interesting point. You certainly have books of nudes for drawing purposes. I have one. And it's just, various people, in various poses, just you can draw the body. Would you have that? And of course, it would have to be drawings for various ages. Poses of various characters in various poses, so you can see what a 15-year-old would look like in this pose or that pose.
Yeah, I mean, for the purposes of being anatomically and artistically correct, I hate to be like yes, but yeah, you would. I mean, if you're aiming for an anime that has realistic body dimensions, versus if you're drawing like a chibi with a giant head and a micro neck,
right,
then your anatomical proportions really don't matter. But if you're going to do something like Ghost in the Shell, and people are anatomically like people, then you're going to need some kind of guidance to be able to proportion people age appropriately.
And I know they've had issues because they've had, what do they call them? They have like the swimsuit books where you have,
Sports Illustrated?
Basically. You have these books of women in, revealing outfits, but posing by the pool or whatever.
Right.
And you also have photo books of girls of all ages and various outfits and various clothing. That's been a thing for a long time. But here's little girl fashion, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But then, not that long ago, you started getting little girls in swimsuits. And little girls in very skimpy swimsuits. And there was like kind of a clamp down of saying, we know what you're doing here. It's very clear, and some of the posing of them was very clear, and so, but I wonder,
as an anatomic model, there's certain things you don't need to do.
And that's the thing is, I wonder if you could have a pose book that kind of skirts that line, where it's like because you could have a girl in a leotard, right?
Yes, which we had seen several of this con with what would have been very revealing cosplay.
Yeah.
But wearing a taupe or nude colored leotard under it, you first glance, holy, second glance, you're clothed. And then your cosplay's on top of that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Yep.
You're wearing clothes. It's not anything indecent. It's
exactly
the initial perception. And then the question is the person perceiving it the problem?
Right. So that's funny. An instructional book on drawing tentacles. Yeah, that would have to be a thing. I mean,
you sure it's probably out there.
I'm sure. I mean, yeah. You
there
would have
is
to.
An instruction somewhere for tentacles and how to make them writhe appropriately.
Oh, thank you, Urtsukadoji. But yeah, I mean that's interesting, and again, you could get into that back and forth about that question of at what point is either a photograph or a drawing, suggestive. Because you're going to have those poses, and there are things I could show you from this book, but I can't because of YouTube. But where it's like, okay, that could totally be a suggestive pose, the person is clearly just standing in this pose and squatting here. It's like you could extrapolate from that, but it's also one of 12 different poses where it's from this angle, this leg up, this leg down.
Well, also, from where are you taking the suggestion?
Yeah.
Are you in Germany, in the European Union, taking this and looking at it and what the suggestion is? Are you in America looking at this, and I mean America as in collectively, north, central, and south, and looking at this as this culturally, like, way taboo, versus how many of us have seen Oriemo? And things like Aramanga Sensei, and where if you made that as a live action in America, you couldn't even propose that to a network that they weren't like, security.
Well, what was that? Was it the Metallica cover of like the naked baby in the pool?
Oh, Nirvana,
right?
The baby swimming in the pool,
which was censored in America but not in Europe, because they're like, so what, right?
Yeah,
but over here it's very different.
Right. So it's like your opposed book, obviously for purposes of Japan, depending on what they consider for live model movements and what crosses their line.
Yeah.
Here might be like, oh, no way. Not even a chance. Which is why I'm saying for that book, I'm going to guess that they didn't just show up from the Tokyo shop with a box that somebody had not gotten approval on.
Right.
That they're like, oh, no, this is all normal. Don't look in here, customs.
Right.
This is just fine. Because don't they have an LA shop?
Yes, they do.
So presumably
New York.
Presumably any stock that's coming in will be probably available at that location, and anything that's going to come in there has already been clearanced.
Yeah.
So even that book that it's like, oh, geez, what's going on here? Somebody somewhere has been like, okay, this doesn't violate U.S. laws and regulations, so it's okay. But watch it.
Yeah. and
the first tentacle book we see, you're done.
And again, to be clear, they do have a New York store that's like 2 stories. So this is not just some random person buying books from Japan.
Yes. Yeah. It's not your random otaku showing up with something they smuggled out of the country.
Some of the superposed book series have rather erotic poses. They're often used to help people draw erotic art. But they're not so that's interesting too. So I'm sure there's a market for it, but it's not necessarily a public market for it in that sense, right? Where you can buy it online or whatever.
Well, aren't we? Was it Jeff Epstein? Is that the current problem? The guy who had the airplane that he flew back and forth, and the child
I didn't hear about this.
Thing.
No.
You missed this?
Yeah.
This has been like the hot topic thing.
Okay, well, I don't pay attention to this.
I'm assuming the man's name is Jeff Epstein.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe someone out there knows. But that he had a private jet and he flew all kinds of celebrities around.
Okay.
And that there was some child trafficking issues involved, and now they're trying to unravel how many people flew on his jet, who flew on his jet. Some people are starting to come forward who were in the trafficking side of this, saying these are the things that happened on this jet.
Wow.
One of the people that's been suggested was President Clinton, or former President Clinton, as having been a guest on the jet. What did that entail?
Yeah.
So now everybody's sort of doing the shuffle around as he was a donor or a friend, and I rode on the jet for that reason. I didn't ride on the jet for child smuggling.
There wasn't a kid in the back, right?
Yeah, there wasn't any kind of illicit activity going on over international water.
Right.
So that what I mean. I'm surprised you hadn't heard about that.
Yeah.
That's quite the buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least for Facebook wise, they keep making this crack that it's like, oh, you should be woke because this is going on, important people are involved. Watch, there's going to be some other big event that's going to happen, and all eyes will turn over there, and this will go away because there's too many important people involved. Like, oh, I hate that that's probably not untrue, but I would like to think that justice reigns in the end.
Well, I mean, the other side of that coin is that there is always a new news story. Like, that isn't necessarily a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's just things happen.
Well, but it's interesting to see how people make it a conspiracy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm still waiting to see the horrible statistics of how many people go on the Naruto run at Area 51 because they just didn't see that the guy said it was a joke. You're like, 300,000 people Narutoing. I'm like, this is not going to be a good day.
Yeah. Oh dear. But how are we going? Oh yeah. JAV actresses as models. That makes sense. So you'll get a women who produce pictures and videos of a variety of
prurient interest.
Prurient interest.
Oh,
yes.
very good.
And so that makes sense as a model for that.
Yes,
and
it would. Well, but also, and this is also something that occurs to me is that some models in that industry are particularly petite.
Yes.
And are desirable in that element.
Yep.
Despite the fact that that's of an appearance of like no, that they are in their 20s.
Yeah.
So that you could arguably have them posing for things, and if someone said, "Are you sick? This person's 12," you could say, "Photocopy of their license. They're 22." So you wouldn't have the Girls Gone Wild problems with that guy who got like terribly in trouble for people saying, "I'm 18" and not proving it.
Yeah.
And like, there you go. So that would be a very interesting thing to do as models.
Yeah.
And completely legal as adults.
Right. I mean, there are certainly, I hear, there are, categories on porn sites for, young, and that are, that clearly are aiming for, obviously not that young,
lolly fetish,
right? But are implying,
right,
under 18 or 18ish kind of a thing. There's a market for that.
Yeah.
Sadly,
there's a market for tentacles.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, so it's a whole interesting thing. But anyway, let's get back to less depressing topics.
Well, less on the knife edge of being completely inappropriate for this discussion. How about that?
Let me show you the art book I got. It's a good example of the kind of cool stuff you can find.
One or two art books.
Yeah, I don't want to crack open the other one. That is a gift.
And you got two really nice art books.
It did turn out nicely.
Yes.
So those of you who've seen Read or Die, this is the ROD official archive. And it is an Udon Entertainment translation of an official production by Studio Orphe. And this is basically a whole bunch of art from Read or Die, both OVA and TV series. That was the only animation produced of this. And so you see the various characters. This actually oddly ties into the previous discussion. We'll get to that later.
Not in an inappropriate way.
Well, actually it does.
Good night. No.
But no, so you get all this great art, and the neat thing is it's not just art. You also get the a lot of the design work for the various characters. It's really cool, and notes about it. So it's the actual staff explaining. Okay, so we needed to episode 1 is set in this place, so we needed this costume for that place, and then other episodes are set here, so we need a different costume for those things. And so kind of working through all that. And so
this is the one you showed me where it was one character in like 30 different costumes.
So you have Anita.
Yeah. It's just amazing.
All one character, all different outfits. She does like fashion, so she's often dressed in different things. But it's just kind of amazing thinking about all the different things you have to think about. All the different things to make her look, accurate.
Everything that you have to animate on her.
Mm-hmm. And again, you think, can't show that. You got to think about, okay, now she's wearing something soft and fluffy. And now she's wearing something that's more skin tight. And those all move differently.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And like they do think about this. They talk about that.
The male character stuff doesn't have nearly as much stuff.
Yeah, Drake is
pants and shirt.
Pretty simple guy. Pretty easy guy to animate. Joker just does not change his outfit. Well, there are reasons for that. So and then
it's painted on.
Pretty much. And then they go through and they have commentary by the staff on each of the episodes of the OVA and the TV series and kind of what they were doing and the writing. So the thing I was mentioning before, unfortunately, the artist who does, and it was slightly controversial, the artist behind this did a bunch of their illustrations and did like the DVD covers and so forth. He also is known for doing rather more erotic art for other things. And so the fact that they like hired, and it's not unusual that there are artists who also do erotic work, But apparently he was like,
You got to pay the bills.
yeah, he was like doing that while he was also doing ROD material, and there was a certain level of maybe not totally appropriate to be doing. And some of the which I can't show that either. Some of the artwork he does, again, none of it is
For the artists in the anime industry, not knowing, I've seen some of Shirobako, but I don't know entirely.
yeah.
During the course of animating a series, is there an actual or an implied do not compete? So you don't do anything else but this thing.
Not so much. From what I understand, the issue was he would draw like these characters.
Oh, well, then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
that's not cool.
Yeah. And
That's
so
kind of biting the hand that feeds you.
and again, one of those things where some artists do it and nobody minds it. It just that just kind of felt a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit of an issue, but it's really neat getting some of these art books where you're not going to get that other places, and the price was pretty good.
Yes. The soundtracks, not so much. But the soundtrack CDs were interestingly priced.
Yeah.
But, that's we're at a con in DC, and, even if the stuff shipped from New York, from their, at least the one place I found that one CD, from Shield Hero, it still, presumably to get to New York, came from Japan, so it came from, there to the West Coast, then all the way to the East Coast, then all the way down here, and that represents a substantial investment in transportation.
Yeah.
Versus this thing that they recently developed called the Internet. I guess it was created by Al Gore.
Yep, that's what I hear.
And you can order it directly from Japan, and it gets here at probably half the cost.
Yeah.
And it still supports the industry.
Exactly.
And that's the important part.
Yep. So yeah, that is the odd part, is how so much of this stuff is still con prices.
Yeah.
And some of it isn't. We were at a booth selling video game stuff, and they had like old Super Famicoms for like $50.
Yeah. Presumably refurbished.
Yeah.
Because I know that is there are people that do that. Star City. At that con, in one of the back corners of their dealer room, they were selling a bunch of flasks, painted flasks, and some other stuff, and they had some game stuff. And I got to talking with the booth owners, and their son, the husband and wife team, they travel around with their box van, and they just hit cons.
Oh wow!
And that's what they do when they run out of goods and merchandise. They return home.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, the son and daughter-in-law have created more flasks, more hand-painted stuff.
Wow.
They do like a thermal wrap on like Game Boys. So that you can get a custom thermal wrapped Game Boy of like whatever characters you want thermal wrapped on it.
Wow.
And the son does all rework of the interiors.
Wow.
Resoldering all the points, making sure that the electronics are all working. He does Game Boys, he does PS, whatever handheld thing.
Vita, I think. Yeah.
He does. And the gaming stations. So they're all refurbished to work.
Wow.
And they're all in good condition. So I'm guessing that's what those were we're seeing, is they were thermal shrinked, in their own little thing with no boxes. So I'm guessing somebody has reworked them to get them up to speed, but they're just not in a pretty nice box.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still an incredible price for a working system that old.
And even then, the Game Boy cartridges were $15, $20.
They were all very reasonable. I mean, the K-On plate was $15.
Yeah.
And how long was K-On ago?
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Better than 5, 7, 8 years?
10? Okay. We have the internet.
That thing?
We're gonna
Al
check.
Gore's thing?
We're gonna check.
2007 to 2000.
12 years.
Dang.
Yeah. We're old. We're very old.
Wow.
Yes, our discussion took an interesting turn. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. Just scroll up, see if we got any other things. The other thing, I have no Laserdisc player, so that is the other downside of LDs.
I saw a Laserdisc player in the early 80s. It's the first and last time I've ever seen one.
Yeah. So, Sazai-san's a problem in terms of watching it, because it has never been released on home video.
Yes. And Al Gore's miracle invention of the internet, you could look things up.
Oh, interesting.
They make great Wikipedias on it.
I see.
So if you look it up, you can find a Wikipedia article on it and read about it.
Well,
and then look at the other things that come up on your search engine.
True. And the other complexity too about Sazai-san, I do know, is that they rotate segments. So it is a multi-segment. Usually, one episode isn't 24 minutes of one story.
Right.
It'll be called different storylines, and so
is it broken into 7s or is it like 2 11s?
I think it's 7s.
Oh, okay. So you get 3 at a shot, and then they can scramble them later on.
So next year you may see that segment show up again in one episode, and then 2 new segments.
They did that in Tiny Toons Adventures
in
the 90s, where you had 3 separate 7-minute segments, and then it would you'd see one 6 months later, and you're like, I know that one, but I don't recognize the other 2. Like what? Oh.
Yeah.
You're generating new content by only producing a tiny slice and then just backfilling things from other parts and recreating a new thing. I'm like, that's pretty smart.
Sometimes you got to do that. Totally. That's a good question. Is there a Japanese wiki or something that lists lost media? That's another good point.
How did you find Momotaro? There had to have been some way, because that there's not really many extant copies of Momotaro's Divine Sea Warriors. But you had, you know what I mean? There had to have been somebody who thought to look for it and then to dig around for it.
Yeah,
so there must be something.
So I'll just say it outright. I found Momotaro on some random fan sub site on the internet. I think it was actually a stream, and I had to download the stream or something.
I swear to you, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's been licensed. Funimation released it on Blu-ray 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have the Blu-ray of Momotaro. We should watch it sometime.
Which, given the quality of animation at the time and the surviving copies, I can't imagine making a Blu-ray really makes it better.
Well, it's in the Library of Congress.
That's a weird thing to have.
Well, no, because when
that's like putting Triumph of the Will in the Library of Congress. Be like, hey, this is great. Be like, dude,
no, literally,
wrong side of the pond.
When the American forces saw that in 1945. They literally said, A, we are sending this to the Library of Congress, and B, we are burning all the copies in Japan.
Great job. We have a bonfire over here.
Right, exactly. But they said we recognize that this was a culturally significant work, and we thought it was important to preserve it for future generations. Not this generation.
Yeah.
Not right now. But no, they very deliberately preserved it at the time.
Thousands of years in the future.
And so they've pulled the copy, and we can now watch it and you're absolutely right. I'm sure the Blu-ray isn't great, but it's got to be a heck of a lot better than my 240p fan
YouTube
sub from
video. Well, maybe someday somebody will remaster it.
Yeah. Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. And that's absolutely true. Sazai-san started in 1969, so there are lost episodes of Sazai-san.
The recording technology for that time would have been
not so much
either reused or just degraded by now. If somebody had not consistently updated the backlog of it to better and better media as the years have gone by, you'd end up going away.
There's a lot of discussion in the animation sort of scholarly stuff about a lot of the lost media around animated advertisements. Huge swaths of animation history existed in the form of commercials that were never saved.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. And all these studios producing all this material, they're probably, stuff made by some of the greats that they worked on when they were 25, and they were just produced, put on television, and then disappeared because no one recorded that stuff. And no one bothered to preserve the originals, right? They may have been put in a vault somewhere on silver nitrate stock, and they all degraded after 10 years.
Wow. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
And it's actually a big problem for the animation sort of research in general, is that there's probably, I couldn't even hazard a guess, but there's probably vastly more commercial advertisement animation than regular animation. in terms of feet per minute, in terms of like
kinda
content.
Imagine, for the War Department shorts and things like Warner Brothers did and Disney did during World War II.
Yeah.
That there's probably a number of things done that were interesting, like what is it, the Alka-Seltzer little anime,
Right.
Pop Pop Fizz Fizz, the little guy runs around.
Yep.
That's animated.
Yep. Exactly.
But for the fact that somehow we can see that, I really highly doubt whoever did that commercial was like, this is so significant, I need to make sure that it's preserved.
Right.
They're like, I just paid the bills. We have light, and you guys have a salary.
And we're still, who drew that?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, presumably since we can see it, since it does exist as something, and we can sing the song, presumably there is a paper trail on that somebody found it somewhere that it has some provenance. But the vast majority of ones from the 50s that would have been around that time, would anybody have cared this? It was such and such advertising agency and they did that.
And that's the thing. Like, even if there was a paper trail, right, that paper trail may exist at, Dewey, Cheatham and Howe in New York. And yeah, maybe they have records of what animation studio they got 20 years ago. Is that studio still around?
Probably not.
And what are their records of who did what 20 years before that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real problem. We just don't know about vast swaths of animation, especially worldwide. There are a lot of countries where really the animation industry wasn't churning out movies. They weren't churning out TV shows. They were churning out commercials.
Yeah.
Because that's where the money was being made.
I was just saying, globally, it would be very interesting to see. There's not a lot, if you think about Russian animation.
Yeah.
There's been more subsequently. I think there was you either discussed some of it, or there was a panel that we both went to that discussed. I have no idea who it was, but the guy was trying to get Russian animation up and rolling.
Yeah.
And he had done some very interesting artistic kind of animations along with like Russian cultural themes and Russian musical themes, and I can't remember what the result was. I since it's not happening, I'm going to imagine the funding was okay.
He died. There was a lot of Russian animation, relatively speaking, compared to other countries, especially in the Soviet bloc. Not so much.
Welcome
Imagine
to the
that.
Soviet Union.
Actually, yeah, it was apolitical. Like you did not touch those topics, or you ended up in Siberia. But
animating there.
Yeah, pretty much. But there's and I forget his name, but especially when.
So did you talk about him, or was it a panel we saw?
I have talked about that in the past at a I do a history of world animation panel, but it's like 2 hours long. So I may have done it.
So you must have talked. It had to have been you then.
Maybe,
because it was the only world because it was you because you talked about French animation.
Yes.
And you showed a snippet of a French animation that was like really very interesting. And I was just like, I've never heard of this or seen this in my life.
Yep.
Certainly, I'd never heard about the Russian guy either.
Yeah.
But, hence not knowing his name even. Or the French people's name. I have no idea.
Yeah, Frenchy McFrench face. I don't know. But yeah, no. So there was probably, and there was a thing that there was, Russia was producing probably an hour or two of animation a year, but it was all short animation.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of it in terms of individual works, but it wasn't. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was that was wrong. It was the quote was less than 10 per year, so single digits worth of hours.
Right.
But that was dozens and dozens and dozens of short films from different people for decades, and then finally things broke up a little bit, and then we started seeing that shift to say, okay, we can actually make an industry that is doing something. Yeah. But there were other things going on in Russia at the time.
There's always things going on in Russia.
Yeah.
You watch dash cam videos of car crashes. There's lots of things going on in Russia.
Russia's exciting to live in.
I have no doubt.
Let's see here. Scrolling up. Lost media. Yeah, the language culture barrier is also a big deal. There's tons of stuff, I'm sure, in Japan, like you say, in Europe. that we just aren't aware of because nobody's documenting that in English.
Right.
Let's see here. Because the Iron Curtain had all developed in isolation, as Steph says, which made it very unique. Like Australia and all, the animals that try to kill you.
Only like 90% of them. 10% are fine.
I have not seen the art on the Warsaw Pact movie posters. That's interesting. Huh.
Like entertainment films or like jingoistic, like support kind of movies and semi-propagandistic. Those look very modern.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Sister Act.
Image Search, yeah.
The
That's
Sister
totally what
Act
that is.
film poster looks almost exactly like the one from America.
Yeah. Image Search is not helping. Except if you can, the Polish movie posters. Oh, wow. That's cool.
Are these classic or are these... Wow. Tootsie?
Nice.
Wow.
I've heard of this. Yeah. Yeah. They had this very distinctive style, and they would use them
Muppet
even for...
movie is probably like vaguely terrifying.
Not just vaguely.
Oh my. Wow.
Nice. The Terminator.
That's actually probably even a more effect. Is that The Godfather 2?
It is. What? Cabaret. Godzilla. That's a good Godzilla poster.
Wow, that's a very cool Godzilla poster.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Planeta Malp. Sure, that's wrong. Wow,
Orange.
Clockwork Orange. Really?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's incredibly artistic.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I have no idea.
Alien.
Alien.
Nostromo.
Nostromo.
Dude.
Wow. Obsy.
This is an Eyes Wide Shut. Yep. This is a treasure trove. Thank you, Seth. This is ridiculous.
Holy cow, that's cool. Before E.T.
She came out of the. She kind of like E.T. Oh, interesting.
Look at Rocky.
Oh, the heart and the. That's great.
Wow.
That's brilliant. Diana Dors. Yvonne Mitchell. Don't know what that is. Alfred Hitchcock. North by Northwest?
Maybe? Jeez.
Yeah. Roman Polanski.
Mia Farrow. That's Rosemary's Baby.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
She looks like Mother Russia.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Shining. Like that. Yep. That's The Shining.
That's like, what, Edvard Munch?
Yeah. Wow. Harrison Ford, Sigourney Weaver, Melanie Griffith.
Harrison Ford, Sigourney Weaver.
Other folks are looking this up as well. Working Girl.
Working
what?
Girl.
Working Girl.
Wow.
Interesting. Julie Christie.
Tora.
That's a poster.
That's amazing.
Gosh. Okay, we're going to spend all night doing this now.
That is really...
No idea. These are all European names, so I don't think it's an actual American.
Horror. Zemsta Polotach?
George C. Scott. I do not know.
Trish somebody or other?
Yeah. Weekend at Bernie's.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, yeah. Everyone needs to watch.
Stunning. Dude, that Blues Brothers is awesome.
Everyone needs to look up Polish movie posters now.
Clute? What the?
Dumbo. That's very Russian.
You know, that's
Pink
like
Panther?
It's a Small World poster.
Yeah.
Of Dumbo right there.
War of the Worlds.
Wow.
Jeez. I don't even know what that is.
Catherine Ross. Sam Elliott.
What?
Again, Rosemary's Baby.
Yep.
The other one was much better.
Yeah, definitely. That Rocky
Tootsie is just...
Yeah.
It's like... It looks like a horror noir.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
You wouldn't think anything about that poster would be like, oh, this is going to be a lighthearted, funny. It'll be great to watch. We're like,
You're right. They need to do this for Evangelion and for Lane.
oh, good God. I would welcome their interpretation.
Yes, I would.
I mean, even the Star Wars one with 3CPO.
Yeah.
Is like, that's just so mind-bendingly funky.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like, really?
It just draws your eye to
Did you see these?
Return of the Jedi.
Wow. Did
And
you
it's
see the film when you made this?
exploded.
How did you do this? Is this like Metropolis?
Yeah.
That you just saw a poster for Metropolis and you're like, that's Taxi Driver.
That's Taxi Driver.
Did you just see the poster for Metropolis and you just made this thing? So did somebody say, yeah, we need you to make a poster for something called Star Wars, and here's like some of the key figures for it, and they're like, okay, I'll just do stuff. Let's do something crazy. That'll be fun. Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis.
Kirk Douglas, Tony Curtis. Viking movie? The Vikings.
The Vikings?
It was the Viking movies. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a thing. I'm
That's
going to
an
look
eye
that up.
patch.
Yeah.
Spartacus. Wow.
Oof.
That's Kirk Douglas's head.
That's, yeah.
Being like, absolutely.
Amazing. John Huston, Albert Finney. Oh!
Jacqueline Bisset.
We're going to stand up and we're going to go outside because we're not going to take it anymore. Newsroom.
Not broadcast news. No, it's not that.
No. But yeah, that movie.
We're angry and we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. I think it's that movie.
Oh, I have no idea.
Albert Finney.
Anthony Andrews.
Paul Newman.
Rochelle.
Okay. Well,
Translate. It's great that it's all in Polish.
yeah, that's not very helpful. I was hoping we could get an alternate. Well, we'll do this. It's the entire thing.
Wow.
It can't be the same movie. There's no Paul Newman in this.
Yeah, I'm not aware of Paul Newman being in a film like that.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Sorry, folks. Network. That's the one.
Oh, wow. This is Chip. That is a treasure trove. That is
totally.
Fantastic. I honestly hope that just in looking at that, I hope someone has preserved those somewhere. Dude, that is... They're brilliant.
That's brilliant. We're looking at the Matrix poster now. That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, no joke.
That's the kind of thing we were seeing at in Artist Alley. One of the neat things is just artist interpretations of these things, which is really fun.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
That's some
stunning.
Serious work.
Yeah.
Most of the Artist Alley, I mean, other than sort of slightly chipifying things, most of it was like really true to character. They did a fantastic job with like a lot of the body proportions and just the scenery that they were doing in the background. Some of them, I'm sure, should really seriously consider working in the animation industry because they really did a good job.
Yeah, they probably make less money.
Probably. But given the square footage costs of being at this con, I'm sure having a stable job with health insurance probably would be good too.
Right. So they shouldn't work in the animation industry.
Well, sure. Disney's hiring somebody.
That's true. Yeah.
Is Walter Lantz Productions doing anything anymore?
I don't think so. No, sadly.
They're still making little dot shows, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Somewhere in time.
So somewhere in Fantasyland where they're doing that.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch Little Dot, but Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah.
That was a fine work.
That was a work, definitely.
That was a thing.
There was a live action Woody Woodpecker movie. Came out like 5-10 years ago. Oh, that was a painful thing. CGI Woody Woodpecker running around doing his thing. Yep. And with that, we're going to leave you for tonight. Thank you all very much.
Hollywood, why?
Thank you very much. We will be I will not be back next week. I'll be at Gen Con, and then we will be resuming the regular stream after that. So
nice. It was great meeting everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I will return to the sticks of Southwest Virginia.
Fair enough.
See ya.
Cool. Good night. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.